Okay, so we are here tonight for Gimmel Tammuz. This is the yahrzeits of Lubavitcher Rebbe. So it's going to be a special evening. I'm going to bring a little bit, and we'll try to talk about how what we can take, what is the Lubavitcher Rebbe's message for us, and what this amazing soul that came into this world for this over this past century till 1994, almost 29 years ago. It's 29th yahrzeit, and so it's even to have stories, even to have people around today that were influenced by him, and so many people, and it's very, very strong. His influence, his presence in the world is very, very strong, and I feel that his legacy lives on more than anybody else ever. That his messages and every word that he said, the fact that he wrote so much, that there's like hundreds of volumes of what he wrote, and so there's just so much. He had a very, very clear vision, a very, very strong messages that he was giving over. So start with a melody that apparently he composed this melody himself, and this is a melody that he shared with the Hasidim. Huh? Yeah. So this is a melody that. No, it'll be hot. But you can come closer. That's a good solution. So you don't want to come closer? So come. So this is a melody that he shared in the 50s, the early 50s, on Hashem Rebbe, and so yeah, it's a song of yearning, a song of missing. Yeah, so the Rebbe, the Rebbe was a very strong person. He was unhumanly, superhumanly strong. He didn't have an easy life at all. He was alive during the Holocaust. He was fleeing for that. He lost a lot of his family, lost his father, lost his brother, and the biggest stress that he had was that he never had children, and after his father-in-law passed away, so there was a huge struggle. There was a huge conflict in the Chabad community. Who's going to be the next Rebbe? And he had a brother-in-law. The yahrzeits didn't have any sons, but the older daughter was married to a Shmaya Gur Aryeh, who's known as the Rashag, and his mother-in-law was very into the first son-in-law, and there was a big conflict. It was like in fact, his father-in-law himself, he seemed to put his other brother-in-law in the main position to be in charge. He gave him to be in charge of the yeshiva, and he only gave the Rebbe like more secondary obligations, more secondary responsibilities, and he really took this. It was thrust upon him. It was really that he was not looking to be Rebbe. He didn't want to be Rebbe, and it was the people in the community that really forced him into it, and that's why it took a year before he actually accepted to actually be Rebbe, and he was like, despite all of this controversy, there's a controversy that didn't stop, and even decades later, so there was another controversy in the Chabad community about the library, that one of his nephews that was like stealing things from the library and claiming that it's the library with millions of dollars was really the private property of his father, and it was like this question of who's going to be like. There's a very interesting thing. You probably noticed that in all Hasidism, so they wear shtreimels. In Chabad, they don't wear shtreimels, right? So where does it start that in Chabad they don't wear shtreimels? In the pictures of older Rebbes in Chabad, they also wear shtreimels. That the Rebbe was the first one not to wear a shtreimel. What's up that he didn't wear a shtreimel? It's because his mother-in-law refused to give him the Rebbe's shtreimel, and he was only giving it to his brother-in-law. So without the permission from his mother-in-law to follow in that way, so like he didn't feel comfortable wearing the shtreimel, so that's why he just wore his regular hat, and the Hasidim were. That became a thing. That in Chabad, that's the kind of hats that they wear. So there's a controversy that didn't stop, and he didn't have an easy time. But despite all of the controversies, despite all of the hard times that he was going through, so he was iron strong. He was iron strong, and this is something that he was just doing, and he didn't stop. He was strong in his emunah. He was strong with his positivity. In 1967, so in Eretz Yisrael, it was a crazy time. It was before the 6-Day War, so all of the Arab countries were ganging against us. There's huge percentages against us. Like everyone was preparing to die. Everyone was thought that this was going to be another Holocaust, and everyone was trying to leave. And there was Levi Eshkol was the prime minister at the time, and he went on the radio to try to give support to the nation. And it's known as the stuttering speech. That like he started to talk and he didn't know what to say, and everything was coming out wrong. And the only person that was confident was the Rebbe. And there was a group of four chutznikim in yeshiva, and that they were studying in the Meir yeshiva, and they wrote a telegram to the Rebbe that everyone's telling us to leave. What should we do? And so he said he sent them a telegram, and he said everything's going to be good. You keep on learning b'hasmada, and Hashem is gonna be saved. He gave a speech on Lag B'omer, which is Lag B'omer was right before the 6-Day War, and he said that right now we have to right now it's a difficult time in Eretz Yisrael, and we have to be, but Hashem is going to save us, and Hashem is going to give us special shmira, special protection, and it's from that day that he started with his first. It was going to be a lot of these things. His first mivtza, his first mission, and that is he started the tefillin mission. He said that tefillin, it says in Chazal that there's a special quality about tefillin that v'ra'u kol ami ha'aretz kishem Hashem nikra lecha v'yaru meka, that when then the nations of the world are going to see that the name of God is behind you, they're going to have fear from you. And the Gemara says, Elu tefillin shebarosh. This is a reference to tefillin. There's a reference to when Jews wear tefillin, it causes the nations of the world to fear us. And so we said we need to be mischazik in tefillin. So I want everybody to go around. This is the first time we ever heard of such a thing. I want everybody to go around and try to share tefillin with anybody who didn't put on tefillin, and give him tefillin and help everybody put on tefillin. And this is 1967, so he's starting with something that was unheard of, to walk around in public and to take out tefillin, and then after, so he was the only one who knew that this was going to be okay, and he started this as his first mivtza, his first bringing tefillin to the world, and after the miracles, the 6-day war, so he was scared that like people are going to think, okay, like we did the job, now we're done. So he said, no, this is just the beginning. That now that we have the kotel, so the first thing I want you to do is I want it to be a tefillin stand in the kotel, that anybody who comes to the kotel can put on tefillin, and then from then it's been a like a part of the furniture of the kotel. That part of going to the kotel is putting on tefillin. The reason why everyone knows about the Rebbe, why does everyone know about the Rebbe? Why does everyone know that he's so special?
I know why he's special, but how did people find out? Because usually such tenants and king aren't open about their powers.
Mm-hmm. The reason why everybody knows about the Rebbe is because of what we're about to get to, and that is that the Rebbe had an army. Oh, no, it's the people in the community that knew him. The people, they just knew him. They knew him from his interactions before that. He wasn't doing nothing. Even before his father, even when his father-in-law was alive, he was still a Talmid Chacham. He was still giving shiurim. He was still involved in different things. He was he wasn't like hiding in America. His father was. So it was like that wasn't so crazy. How the whole world knew that he's great, knew that he's so great. That I heard that there was that somebody was a Talmud was very close to the Satmar Rav. The Satmar Rav was very, very openly against the Lubavitcher Rebbe, specifically about Zionism, about how he looked towards not Zionism per se, like the Rebbe was also not Zionist, but how they looked at the state of Israel. And but Satmar Rav told one of his Gabayim that like ahen aher, that like wherever you are, but I want you to know that when somebody comes to me and it's a really, really difficult situation and I don't have the spiritual powers to help him, I sent him to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Okay, so the tzaddikim know tzaddikim, and there was a certain aura about him that it was just very, 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 very calming, and he had leadership qualities. And so we started with the mitzvah of tefillah, and then he went on to 1974. He started with the mitzvah tanks, going around and just like giving out Shabbos candles, giving out tefillah, giving out they just eat a kosher sandwich and say a bracha, and so he started this army of people who were going out to share Judaism with the world. It's something that is like just so strong, so to believe in himself when this is things unheard of, things that the Jewish history has never done such a thing, just to go into the middle of nowhere and say, okay, now build a community. Now just, you're the only one there, and just, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay because Hashem is with you. And this is this strength of believing in yourself. So it's unreal. It's unreal, and it started because he believed in himself, despite the fact that he was against everything, despite the fact that like there was nobody promising him that he's going to succeed, and so he believed in himself, and he believed that everyone can be as strong as he can. Now, this led him to really be mechasek people in such a way that he told people that life is about doing. This is like not to stop. There's a lot of Chasidusim, like it's all about like inner work, and it's all about like really working on yourself and perfecting yourself. And the Rebbe said that in this generation, so things have changed. This generation, so it's all about doing. We need to accomplish. We need to spread. We need to get things done in a very, very real way. And the way that he told people to do this is that he told them that the mamish, they can't stop. One of his students, one of his more famous students, was Steinsaltz. So he related that he once had a dilemma, a personal dilemma, that he was working at the time. He himself was an extremely amazing man. That he was working at the time on 3 huge projects. That first of all, he was working on the Steinsaltz Gemara. That he single-handedly translated the Gemara into Hebrew. And oh wow, he single-handedly translated the Gemara into Hebrew, and at the same time, so he was working. He had a yeshiva. He had a yeshiva here in Israel, and at the same time, he was working on a bunch of a network of yeshivas in Russia that he was in charge of. Okay, so these were 3 full-time projects that each of them was taking all of his time, and besides that, he writes that he had dozens of other smaller projects that each was important. And so he says, Rebbe, I can't do it anymore. I'm falling apart, and I don't know where to cut. I don't know what to stop doing. So I'm telling you, I'm giving up to you, and you tell me what I should do. And so a couple of days later, so he gets a response from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe, anybody who knows the Rebbe could foresee this answer coming, and the Rebbe told him that continue all of your holy avodah and do even more. That there's no, and this is what he was always telling people: just don't be satisfied with what you're doing. That there's a video of some bank owner that he came to the Rebbe, and he was so proud of himself that I want you to know that last night I donated $1 million to Chabad, and this is in the 80s. $1 million in the 80s was much more than $1 million now, and so the Rebbe said that God should bless you. I hope next year you give $2 million. And a person came to him and he said that this is a person who just been a Jew who had just been elected senator. I don't remember his name. That so he came. Don't remember, maybe. Okay. And so he comes to the Rebbe and he said that Rebbe, that this year was a big year for me. That I was elected senator, but my biggest accomplishment this year is that I had my first child. I brought his child to he should bless him. And so the Rebbe, his wife was there as well, and he says, I hope you're not satisfied. Like it said that you can't stop. So his message to everybody was that never be satisfied. If you opened one yeshiva, so open another yeshiva. If you opened one mikveh, so open a second mikveh. That with whatever you're doing, do more, and just never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. To always have this desire for growth, and that's the way he lived, and that's the only way that things grow so exponentially. The way the Chabad does, it's because he had this trajectory of constant growth. Never saying, okay, I did what I need to do. He was so taxing on himself. He was so demanding on himself that a lot of times people wanted him to come to Israel. He never went to Israel. He never traveled to Israel, and he said, and he would tell people that if you can find me any leniency, that I should be permitted to leave all of the important things that I'm busy with here, so then I'll go. Some people think that he said that the reason why he didn't want to go to Israel is because he thought that if he's going to go, then they're going to make him be chief rabbi here, and he's never going to. No. He didn't have a week to spare. There was no such thing. There was no such thing as taking a week off to do holy things, to be. That he was just so devoted to all of the Chassidim, and it wasn't just the Chassidim, he was devoted to the entire world, that he just couldn't leave them for a week, because there was always more to do. Now, the way that he was able to instill this desire of people to always accomplish started with something very, very, very basic, and that is that everyone that came to the Rebbe felt very strongly that they are important. That the Rebbe gave tremendous, tremendous respect to every single person. There's a video of this Rabbi Rohr, who was a rabbi in Brooklyn, and he was coming to the Rebbe it was right after Rosh Hashanah, and he said, every time he comes to the Rebbe, he's asking for something, asking for a bracha, asking for Yeshua, and he says, this time I'm going to be different. This time I'm going to come to the Rebbe, and I want to give him nachas. I want him to be happy. So he goes over to him, and he says, Rebbe, I want you to know that I started recently in my shul. I started a beginner's prayer service, and we started this Rosh Hashanah, and Baruch Hashem, we had 200 people coming to this beginner service. People that had no background, people with mamish no background, and so he said that at the moment that he said people with no background, so the smile on the Rebbe's face disappeared. He realized that he had said something wrong, but he didn't understand what. And so he said it again. The Rebbe, that I gave a service for 200 people without a background. And so he said, I want you to know that there's no Jews that don't have a background. I want you to know that they're the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They're the children of Sarah, Rivka, and Leah. That every Jew has a Jewish background. I want you to tell them that they have a Jewish background, and that this is not that they're not coming from nothing. That they're important. The Rav Lau, Rav Yisrael Meir Lau, the rabbi of Tel Aviv. So he was chief rabbi. He's a former chief rabbi. He's a famous Holocaust survivor. So he once came to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asked him, what do you do? And he said, I work with Kiruv Rechokim. Kiruv Rechokim is a term used for outreach, right? It's like literally Kiruv is to bring closer somebody who is distant. Rachok is distant, right? So Kiruv Rechokim is that I try to bring closer people who are distant, and the Rebbe was unhappy. The Rebbe was unhappy with this term, Kiruv Rechokim. He said, how do you know who's closer and who's more distant? That you think because you're religious, you're closer, and because he's not religious, that you have no idea that every Yid is very close to Hashem, and that you're not in a better place than him if you're. And this is really the secret of Kiruv. This is really the secret of Kiruv is to have the understanding that there is nobody this far away, and this is what he instilled in everybody. Everybody that came to him, everybody that interacted with him, really came away with this feeling that the Rebbe thinks I'm special just because of who I am. There was a man, Ben Zion Katz. So his family moved to Crown Heights, and and he was a Klausenberger chassid, and so he would go to his little shtibel where he would daven. He would daven early. He would daven like 8:00, and he would leave his house around 10 to 8, and so on the way, so he would pass the President's Street where the Rebbe lived, and the Rebbe would also leave his house every Shabbos 10 to 8, and he would get to the Beis Medrash, get to 7:70 to 8:00, and so every Shabbos, so he would like pass, when he would pass the Rebbe's house, he would always like be leaving at the same time, and he would wish him good Shabbos. That was like their little moment, like this little kid, and the Rebbe would go by himself, and it was like their little moment, and he cherished this, like even though he was nothing to do with Chabad, but like it was clear to him that the Rebbe was a holy man, and he really cherished this moment, and so years later, so the security situation in Crown Heights changed, and they decided that it's important that people walk the Rebbe to davening. Okay, so some bachram from yeshiva, so they came to him, and they bachram came shiva, and they came, and they would be malava the Rebbe. They would take the Rebbe to shul, and so Mitzion was waiting there, and the bachram they were waiting, like they said, what are you doing? He says, I'm waiting to say good Shabbos to the Rebbe, and he said, what? You don't know how busy the Rebbe is? You don't know that the Rebbe is always busy with people, and he's always dealing with people, and he has 10 minutes to himself that he's walking to shul every Shabbos, and that you have to take from him? That you have to, like, you can't, you need to give your Shabbos to the Rebbe. They're like, well, leave him alone, just stop it. And so the Rebbe came out, and he saw that like something was going on, and so he walked over and said, what's going on? So what's going on? And he said that we told him that you're so busy, you need some time alone, and like they shouldn't say good Shabbos. And so the Rebbe looked at Ben Zion, and he said, like as if he was like they're telling on himself, like, is that true? Is that really what he told you? Like, I said, yeah, that's what he said. He said, never, ever tell this boy that he can't tell me good Shabbos. I want you to know that I look forward to his good Shabbos. I cherish this moment of saying good Shabbos to every week, and I want him every single week to wish me good Shabbos. And so the next week, so the Rebbe was concerned that he would that nevertheless that he would feel self-conscious, that because they made this such a big deal, that he would feel self-conscious, that he wouldn't want to say good Shabbos. So what the Rebbe did, the Rebbe came out early to wait for him. and Vitzion noticed that he was self-conscious, and he was embarrassed, and so the Rebbe made sure that this would continue. So the Rebbe was mamish that one of the things that he wanted everybody to know is that they really are important, and once they know that they're important, so then you can tell a person, once you're important, then it makes sense that I expect things from you. I think that you can do it, and this was one of the Rebbe's most amazing accomplishments. The fact that he was able to see in people what they weren't able to see themselves. That to tell a person that looked at himself like a piece of garbage, to tell them that no, I see greatness in you. Rabbi Sachs likes to say that a good leader has followers. A good leader makes followers, but a great leader makes leaders. And he said this, and he was saying this about himself. He was saying this about himself, that when he first met the Rebbe, so he was a sophomore in university in Cambridge, and he had he was studying philosophy. He was studying philosophy, and he had a bunch of questions, a lot of philosophical questions that he wanted to get answered, and so he wanted to see the Rebbe, and he told them, like, sorry, it's not possible to see the Rebbe. Well, like, when he has an appointment, we can call you. And so 2 months later, So they called him. Happens to be he was also in America at the time, but he was in LA. So he gets on on a bus to go, a Greyhound bus to get from LA to Crown Heights, and so he gets to the Rebbe, and he starts asking a whole list of questions, and the Rebbe answered his questions in a very, very short amount of time, and then he did something that he wasn't ready for. Then he started turning the tables, and he said, "How many Jews are there? How many Jews are there in Cambridge? How many Jews are affiliated? How many Jews are coming to events?" And he said, like, he told me, like, there's a lot of Jews, like, they aren't so affiliated. It's like, it's really we're losing them. We're losing by the dozens. And he said, well, what can you do about it? What can you do about it? And that was not a question he was not expecting at all. Like, who am I? I'm just a little sophomore. And so he says that English people have a way of eloquently excusing themselves. So he started saying that, well, in the situation I find myself at the moment, and he said that the Rebbe uncharacteristically cut him off. And he said, a person doesn't find himself in a situation. A person puts himself in situations. And just like you put yourself in this situation, you can put yourself in a different situation. You wouldn't take this, in the situation that I find myself, there's no such thing as, I find myself in a situation, you have power, and in this conversation with the Rebbe, so this gave him, it was really a series of conversations with the Rebbe that he told him that he naturally inspired him to be a rabbi, to be a leader, to be a person like sharing Judaism, and the truth is that the Jewish people didn't have such an eloquent spokesperson to be proud to be a Jew than Rabbi Sachs. So that to think that if it wouldn't be the Rebbe that we wouldn't have a Rabbi Sachs is a crazy thought. If anybody of you know, you know Rav Moshe Weinberger. Rav Moshe Weinberger also, we wouldn't have Rav Moshe Weinberger if not for the Rebbe. You know the story? That Rav Moshe Weinberger came to the Rebbe, and they asked him, like, how can I see him? He was like, it was impossible to have a meeting with him, but like he hoped something. He hoped, and he was at the time he was at a certain crossroads. He wasn't. He was planning on going to law school, but he had some conversation with a friend of his, and his friend he asked him, like, you really want to be a lawyer? Like, that's really what, like, you like learning? Like, what you want to? That's what you want to do with your life, to be a lawyer? And so he was really mixed up, really confused, and he goes to he decided he wants to ask the Rebbe, like, maybe to get some kind of guidance. And so he asked, like, how can I see the Rebbe? Maybe I could just be chutzpahdik and just run over to him. And so he asked somebody, like, well, he's going to be going to the Ohel at 2:00. The Ohel is where his father-in-law was buried, where now he is buried. And so he comes 10 minutes early, and they hope maybe he'll be able to catch him for a second. So, and it looks okay, because like there's only 5 people there. There's only 5 people waiting to see the Rebbe, to say hello to the Rebbe, to catch a glimpse of the Rebbe, to whatever. There's only 5 people there, so it seemed like chances are okay. 1 minute before 2:00, there were thousands of people ran into this into the building, and he was getting pushed around, and like he realized, like, oh well, that's it, I lost it. Like, luckily some chassid, so he realized, like, that he came special, and he felt bad for him, and he paved him, he pulled him to get like a front row seat, and so he was standing there, and so the Rebbe came in with his big bag of kvitlach that he was going to come to the Ohel, and he's running out to the car, and he missed him. Like, there's no eye contact, nothing. He's already opening the door to the car. He turns around, and he looks straight at Rav Moshe Weinberger, and he goes. And then he turns back, and then he went into the car, and so he got his answer. He got that you can do it. You can do it. You don't have to be a lawyer. And literally, like he said, of course, his mother said, "No, man, a lawyer." But he got his answer, and from like, how did the Rebbe know? That's a question that we're not gonna have answers to the questions like that. That how the Rebbe knew that he just needed this chizuk of all the people, the thousands of people there, and how. So, but he was able to find the person that needed him. He knew exactly who needed them, and inspire them to tell them that they can do it, that they can really be leaders. The way the Rav Steinsaltz would explain this is he would say that it's like a person who's growing up thinking that he's a duck, and then suddenly years into his life, so somebody tells you, by the way, you're not a duck, you're an eagle. You're an eagle. Just spread your wings and you can fly, you can soar. And that every time that a person would come to the Rebbe, so he would see himself he would see his reflection in the Rebbe's eyes, and the Rebbe saw in him something much, much greater. And that's how he would inspire people. That's how people would grow. That's how people would become leaders, is because they would see in themselves what the Rebbe saw in them. And the Rebbe was aware of this. The Rebbe was once when somebody was once writing him a check for Chabad institutions, and he told them that when you write your check, don't write your check in your musagim, write your check in my musagim.
Well, what's that about?
Don't write a check in your musagim, in your how do you say, your idea of a lot.
Oh,
You write a check based on like what the kind of numbers that I think in. I think much bigger than you. I need that. So write your check with my kinds of outlook on life, with my kind of numbers. And like he knew that I have a bigger outlook, and I have like the way that I look at life is bigger, and so by being connected to me, so people have this opportunity to have a bigger take on life. So what is the Rebbe? What is the Rebbe saying to us? What is the Rebbe's legacy to us? He's saying, be strong. That don't stop. Be strong. That whatever adversity is coming your way, that you are stronger than it. Don't take no as an answer. That you can always keep on going. Don't let anything stop you. That never stop. Never be satisfied. There's always more to do. You are important. You are important. That the mere fact that you're a Jew is such an amazing gem, amazing treasure that you have. You're priceless, and that you can do it. That you can really make it. And he would help us that you can really be big, and you can really do much more than you can imagine. So the last message that this is unfortunately the thing that it's like we say chavala da'avdin v'lo mishtakhin, that it's a shame that what's missing and can't be replaced is that those are all the messages that he wanted us to take with him, but really that there is an underlying message in everything that he was saying, which is really irreplaceable and really gone forever. There was a Rav in Elizabeth, Pinchas Teitz, that he was a Russian Jew, and so he was connected to the Jew in Russia during the former Soviet Union, when it was still behind the Iron Curtain, and so he made numerous trips to the USSR to help be mechazik the Jewish community there, but everything was very, very, very dangerous. Like if they would find that you're trying to help them in any way, so then you could be sent to Siberia. It was very, very not safe. But he would make these trips, and he would try to be mechazik people, and so he said that there was a crazy story that repeated itself, that every time before he was ready to travel, so two Hasidim would knock on his door, and they would say, "We're shluchim of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and this is what he wants you to do. This is he was giving him tefillin and giving him sidurim. He wants you to give these out, and he never. It was so weird to him that how did the Rebbe know that I'm going? He didn't tell anybody. He wouldn't even tell. The only person that he told is his wife. Like it was like nobody could know that he's going, because if word would get out that Rabbi Taitz is going, then they could find out that it's really a Jewish mission. And so nobody knew, but somehow the Rebbe knew, and he stopped down to take that question, like how did the Rebbe know? And so he would come, and so this would repeat itself. Now the last time that he went to Russia, so last time that he came to Russia, so the shluchim, so besides the tefillin and the siddurs, so he took out a Tanya, and he said that the Rebbe requests that you take this Tanya and you take it with you. This is just for you. And so like at first, like he thought it was weird. Like, come on, like the tefillin I get, like of course I want to help everybody with tefillin, but like I'm not a chassid. Like what do you want from me? Like, I have to carry around it. Like it's a nice sefer, but like what are you getting involved with my Judaism? So, but like he thought second. He thought again that okay, I'll do it. Like the Rebbe he's a holy man. I'll if he wants me to do it, so I'll do it. Anyway, there's the whole story. It said like it was actually his personal Tanya. It said on the, like he signed his name Menachem Mendel Schneerson on the cover. And so when he's in the airport, he realizes this is very dangerous, because the name Schneerson in Russia was a known name. That this is very dangerous. It's very dangerous to they wanted, like his father was sent to his father was sent to Siberia. His father-in-law was sent to jail, and that it was really like the name Schneerson was like wanted dead or alive. So he called up the officer. He called up the gabbai. The gabbai says do you think the Rebbe doesn't know that the Schneerson is dangerous? Do you think he would send you on something if he thinks you're going to get in trouble? So he said you can trust him. Okay, so he takes a deep breath. He trusts him. He goes, and so he gets to Russia. He gets to Russia, and it's a whole crazy story how he finds these people, and so then they finally find this like everybody. There's spies everywhere. There's spies everywhere, and when you anybody who's saying anything about Judaism, like was always scared that you never know who's going to be telling on you to the KGB, and it's over. So to find 5 seconds you could talk to somebody was very, very difficult. So they find this crazy way to get together, and he's with two Hasidim, and so he's giving the stuff, and he says, by the way, I happen to he takes a Tanya. He said, oh wow, he also sent a Tanya. He said, oh no, he said, this is not for you. This is just for me. It's the Rebbe's. This is the Rebbe's Tanya. Said, what? This is the Rebbe's Tanya? The Rebbe touched this, and like they're like he's like it was weird to Rabbi Taitz that they're like so in like trepidation of just like it's just a book, you know,
yeah.
Right? Like so what that the Rebbe touched it with.
Yeah.
Once my great uncle, so he had the yarmulke of Shlomo's villa, and so his wife washed it, and like he was so upset that what? But it had his sweat on it, you know. So it was so weird to him. It was so weird to him that, but like one guy was, oh, hold on, I can't touch the Rebbe's Tanya because I didn't go to the mikveh today, and it was really a bit of a culture shock to Rebbe Taitz. And anyway, so the chassid is opening the Tanya, and he's flipping through, and then he turns white. And he says, what's going on? He says, this is just too crazy. This is just too crazy. The chassid. So he says, what's going on? So he said that I a month ago a month ago, so I sent a telegram to the Rebbe that the way that he would send telegrams to the Rebbe, that it was they didn't even write his name because like I said, the name Schneerson was like taboo. So they would write it to the Zayda, like the writing of the grandfather, and so I wrote a letter to the Rebbe. The truth is that there's two versions. There's one version that Rabbi Weinberger says, and one version that Rabbi Jacobson says. That I'll tell you both versions. What Rabbi Jacobson says is that he wrote a telegram to the Rebbe a month earlier, asking about that he has a certain dilemma, that should he stay, that he has an opportunity to get a visa to leave, to go to Israel, but he's scared that it might not work out. He's scared, and if it doesn't work out, then they're going to send him to Siberia for wanting to leave, and he's scared that if he leaves, then maybe the Jewish community is going to fall apart without him, and so the Rebbe. So there was the page in Tanya that he had flipped down. That he had flipped like the corner of the page. He like a marked, and on that page. So at the top of the page, so it says that sometimes when you're talking about when you have to talk to the Yetzer Hara, that your Yetzer Hara wants to get you down, and so it says, and you have to just sal meher misham. You have to just run away from there as quick as you can. And so he when he turned away, because he realized that the Rebbe had cared to answer him. The Rebbe had cared to answer him that this is like giving him his advice that you should leave as soon as you can. Now the way that Rabbi Weinberger heard the story, so it's that he had that the chassid had wanted to send the shaila to the Rebbe, and he wanted to send Rabbi Taitz as a shliach to ask the Rebbe this question about should he go or should he not go, and the Rebbe had just understood intuitively that this chassid has this dilemma and he needs to hear this answer, and so when he came back to Rabbi Taitz, when Rabbi Taitz came to the Rebbe, so he thought he didn't believe it. The Rebbe said, the Rebbe asked him, no, did you like how was the shlichus? And he told him, did you, what about the Tanya? He said, yeah. Did you show it to anybody? He said, yeah. And did they see the knetchen? Did they see the marks? Did they see the marks? And the Rebbe, see, he was so tuned in to his Hasidim that he could feel what they were going through from across the globe, and he wanted to help them. He wanted to give them their advice. This connection of feeling this is something. This is what we'll never have. That his feeling so in tuned to every chassid that he knows exactly what he needs, knows exactly what he's going through. So that, and to be able to help him from that place, that's something which is unreal. A similar story, that there was a teenage girl that she was going through a super rebellious time in her life, and it's she so Rav Charkov, one of the Gabbaim, so he reached out to a certain Rebbe Kaplan that was living near her, and he said, I think she needs like a mentor. She needs somebody that she can ask her shilas to, and so could you please be there for her? So he was there. He was mechazik her, and so interestingly that even though she was talking to Rebbe Kaplan, but she would like to write letters to the Rebbe as well. Okay, so and she had all her shilas, and the Rebbe would always be careful to write her very respectfully and very thoroughly. It was not unreal how many letters he wrote, and how thoroughly he wrote letters is really, really crazy, superhuman, literally superhuman, and so at some point, so she besides her philosophical questions, she started telling him about how much pain she's going through, how much pain she's in, and his response to that, after answering all the philosophical questions, so he tells her, Ani magisha tzarech. I feel you. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. And when she heard this, she was very upset. Like, what's he talking to me? What's that mean? He feels my pain. How does he feel my pain? And she's really angry. And she was yelling at Rabbi Kaplan. And she writes him a letter. That like, Rabbi, like, I think that's very rude. Like, you don't feel my pain. How on earth do you feel my pain? And like, how dare you think that you feel my pain? Just stop lying. And so 2 hours later, like this, it's unheard of. Like the Rebbe took a special responsibility to this girl, and it's like 2 hours after she got this letter, so he answered her letter of anger, of like that she's so angry that like, how can you feel my pain? So he writes to her that I want you to know that B'ezrat Hashem, you're going to get married and you're going to have children, and about a year after a baby is born, so he starts teething, and when the baby starts teething, it's very painful, and the baby's crying a lot, and the baby's waking up in the middle of the night because she's in pain, and the mother, so she feels so much pain from the fact that her baby is in pain, that it's her own pain. And that's what I mean when I say that I feel your pain. And like, for the Rebbe to tell her that wow, he really feels my pain. That was the first thing that pierced her heart. Like all of the philosophical questions, like that was all just blabber. But like, when she really realized that the Rebbe actually cares about her, the Rebbe actually feels her pain, like in a way that he can describe. This is actually physical pain. So that is all that she needed, and that's what helped her to turn around. So, a last story about how much the Rebbe cared. So this is a story. This is a story about that was told by a man named Rav Shapiro. Okay, Rav Shapiro. So he's a Hasidic Yid, and his mother was from Satmar. His father was from Zvil. He himself was connected to Belz. No Chabad in the family, and so he was on to America. He was a successful businessman, and he was in America. He was living in Antwerp, in Belgium, and he's in Purim. He's in America. He decides he wants to be by the Lubavitcher Rebbe just to see what it's like to be in 770 for Purim. And they're going much late. They go until 3:30 in the morning, and so at the end, so he wants to give the Rebbe shalom, and so like apparently in Belz, so like it's normal to shake hands with the Rebbe. Like apparently like that wasn't the thing. After the Rebbe like 3:30 in the morning, so the minhag in Chabad was to just let the Rebbe be. But he didn't know that. So at 3:30 in the morning, so after being with him for so long, so they're going out, and he starts shaking it, and it's like he's putting out his hand to shake the Rebbe's hand, and so the Gabayim, so they what do you do? What do you think you're doing? So he's giving shalom to the Rebbe. I think, like they push him away, and like similar to like with Betzi and Kat, and so the Rebbe sees what happened, and the Rebbe extends his own hand to Rav Shapiro. And so he gives him his hand, but he takes him with him, and he doesn't let go of his hand, and he starts walking with him, and he doesn't let go. And they're walking home together, and the Rebbe comes to his house, and he doesn't let go, and he walks into the apartment, and he ushers him in, and he closes the door behind him. So like, okay, the Gabayim, it's too late. Like he's like. the Gabayim are already locked out, and so he comes in. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like well, I just wanted to say shalom. Like, what's he want from me? And so he closes the door. He brings him in, and he says sit down. He he walks over to a locked cabinet, and he opens up the lock and takes out an old piece of paper, and he puts it on the table, and he says, "Read." He starts reading this letter. It's a letter from a 36-year-old woman, with severe cancer, and she writes to the Rebbe that Rebbe, I've, like, the doctors tell me that I don't have too much of a chance to live, but I want to ask your help because I have 12 children from ages 1 to 14, and I won't be able to take care of them. And Rebbe, could you please daven for them, that they should come out to be Yirei Shamayim, they should be kosher Yidden, they should have good lives, they should be successful. That I won't be able to. If you could do something for them, that would just mean the most for me. And it's signed Rachel Shapiro. She signed her name Reish Aleph Ches Lamed. And this guy, he starts crying. This was his mother. That his mother passed away when he was 12. He was the second boy in the family, and he had nothing from his mother. He had nothing from his mother, and this was like his mother's handwriting, begging the Rebbe to daven for him when he was a 12-year-old boy. And so he says when he's telling the story to Rabbi Jackson, he says he can't forgive himself that how did I not ask the Rebbe, like, how did you know that it's me? There's things that the Rebbe just knew. That there's no way in the world that the Rebbe knew from. Nobody told him that he's coming. Nobody told him he's supposed to be there. Nobody told him what he looks like. That the Rebbe knew that this person that needs to see this letter from his mother, because he never saw this letter from his mother. His mother cared about him so much, and so he says, Rebbe, could I please have this letter? I don't have anything from my mother. And so he says, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not for you. It's for me. So I know it's for you, but Rebbe, you have so many letters. This is, I have nothing. So he says, no. The truth is that I can't give this letter because I actually need this letter, because every single year, so I don't go to daven kol nidre before taking your mother's letter and reading it. And I only go into Kol Nidre, I only go into Yom Kippur every year, reminding myself of all of the mothers that aren't able to take care of their children, and that how I need to try to take care of all of their children, and this is my responsibility. And so this is this infinite love, infinite care, infinite to look at every single Jew as his own child, as his own, something that he cares about, something that it's his responsibility. So this is his secret weapon. This was the thing that allowed him to be so powerful, to be so strong, to be so unwavering, and this is how he was able to inspire people to be so big, to never stop. So like we said, that the Rebbe certainly is telling us today that we have to be so strong, that we can't stop, and we have to never be satisfied. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to know that how important we are. We have to know that we can do it. But the Rebbe is also telling us that please care. It's not enough to do for other people. That the secret to doing for other people is how much you care about them. Is to look at every single person as if they're yours, as if they're who knows if this is somehow that he got this special ability from the fact that he didn't have his own children, but he had this infinite love for every single Jew. It's unreal. So I really bless us all that we should really be able to follow him and to help his legacy just be stronger and stronger, and to really care and to really do for Klal Yisrael, B'ezrat Hashem.